Everywhere now.
the room changed. The air became electric. He was destined to do great things. He seemed destined to change the world.
there was a man. Just average in appearance, ordinary. Nothing that would make him stand out in a crowd. And he was just this guy who always had to say that thing that made everyone feel uncomfortable.
This guy was different. The 6 figures and the perfect life was irresistible.
The thing is, when you met this guy, his eyes really saw you. Or maybe it was the way he talked. There was just something different about this guy.
People would cancel plans to hang out with this man. Or maybe it was just to be seen with this man.
This man began to meet new people, to teach, to travel. The crazy thing was that people would drop everything just to hang out with him. Now that's curious.
The crowds around him grew and grew.
The crowds around him grew and grew.
He already had what they wanted. He had the right drinks and the right pills. This guy gave them happiness.
He had truth. He had kindness. He gave them life.
Day after day, he would provide the anesthetic people wanted from their dull lives. They would numb themselves from the things that nag their hearts. They wanted something more, but they could never find it. So night after night, they distanced themselves from this life.
Day after day, there were miracles. He would get the lame to stand. He would give sight to the blind.
In the beginning, it was wonderful. Everyone looked happy. Everyone looked like they had the perfect life, but if you just looked a little deeper, you saw nothing.
As time went on and they witnessed miracle after miracle, people began to look deeper and they saw more inspiration, more truth. They saw Jesus.
This life was starting to get old.
Watching a man pulled from death, this never got old.
He found himself alone in the middle of everyone. People surrounded him on every side, but not one person knew him. I mean, really knew him.
He found himself alone in the garden, contemplating what was to come, knowing that there was no one who could do what he was about to do.
He knew there had to be more, but what was it?
He knew more was coming. The guards came and took him. He was given over to the people who demanded that he be hung from a cross. He was lashed. He was tortured. Then the hammer swung.
He was alone. He was desperate. He was empty. He couldn't go on like this. There had to be something else. What was this aching in his heart? And in that moment, he knew his old life was finished.
He was hanging there on the cross, blood rushing from his side, gasping for breath. And in that moment, he knew, it is finished. He took his last breath and died. He was dead. The brain that had more wisdom than people could fathom was no longer functioning. The heart that opened to people had stopped beating. The lungs that gave the breath of life to so many no longer expanded.
The sky broke open. The earth shook. Not one person could deny that something remarkable just happened.
For days, his friends and family mourned. This man they had loved, gone. They would never see him again, never hear his laugh, never look into his eyes. They tossed and turned at night, spent their days wandering aimlessly. Their leader was dead, buried. Now what?
And then, early in the morning, Mary approached the tomb. Panicked because the tomb was empty, she approached a man standing nearby. He said,
Mary.
Immediately, Mary fixed her eyes on him. It was Jesus. He is alive. She ran to the disciples to tell them what had happened. They were unconvinced. They needed to see him with their own eyes.
Knowing this, Jesus appeared to them the next day. They were overjoyed. Thomas. He needed proof, and Jesus invited him to come and see his scars. Stop doubting and believe. From that point forward, the disciples lived a totally different life. While Jesus hung on that cross, they hid, but his resurrection has given them life. Their days were full of adventure, a call worthy of sacrifice and fearlessness.
And it is the same today. You don't need to live a numb, directionless existence. You can come out of hiding and live with no fear because you are loved just as you are. Every day we can live each moment to the fullest. Every day can be full of more than we can ever imagine.
Because of the sacrifice that he made, because of the life he gives, because he is worthy. join him. Come and see. Jesus is alive.